Hi there, everyone. It's Monday, September the 5th, 2022, and this is our weekly devotional. And my name is Mark Plunkett, and I'm the pastor of Heritage Presbyterian Church in Northwest Houston. You know, 9/11 is next Sunday, and it has been more than 20 years, and yet I would say that the scar from 9/11 is just about as fresh today as it was 20 years ago. Maybe it's diminished somewhat. But those countries that attacked us, those individuals that attacked us, we've waged war on Afghanistan and Iraq and the terrorists that supported all this stuff that happened to us. And we've reduced a number of areas just about to rubble. And although the terrorism is not over yet, and I'm not sure it will be, we have certainly struck back at them for the wickedness that was done to us, for the innocents that were lost. But here's the problem. It's been 20 years. At what point do we forgive and forget? At what point can we forgive and forget? Now, I know before you start fussing, either in your heart or in my face, one or the other, telling someone they need to forgive is cheap, very, very cheap talk, especially if that someone lost somebody they loved, either on 9/11 or because of it. Think of the firefighters and the policemen that died. Complete innocents that went in to save people. Think of the people that just went to work that day and ended up dying either when the building collapsed or in the fire, or some of them had to jump from the windows. Think of the moms and dads that never came home after that terrible day. And think of the heartbreak that we had in our country, the heartbreak that hit every single one of us, whether we lost somebody on that day or not. As Christians, we are called to forgive. We're not necessarily called to forget. Now, that doesn't mean we hold a grudge, but it means sooner or later we have to deal with forgiveness. We have to. Those people that lost loved ones, I honestly don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. If I lost anybody that I loved, I would be struggling. I know that I would. That is what is in my heart, and that is how I am. But that doesn't stop me from listening to the very uncomfortable words that we hear that tell us to forgive. Now let's go Old Testament for a second. In the book of Jeremiah, the people of Israel had been messing up pretty much the entire time Jeremiah was a prophet. And toward the end of it, this is what Jeremiah says, quoting the Lord, "For I will forgive their wickedness, and I will remember their sins no more, declares the Lord." Now that's pretty straightforward. But of course, let's slow down, Mark. We're talking about the people of God back in those days. We're not talking about terrorists. Well, let's go to Hebrews, New Testament. What does Hebrews say? "For I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more." But Mark, again, we're talking about the people of God. Sooner or later, we also have to be talking about people, just people in general. I wonder what motivated those terrorists. I've wondered about that a lot. I've read all I can. I've studied all I can. I can't totally figure it out, other than it was just blind hatred that caused them to do these terrible, terrible things. And many of them did it in the name of God, the same God that I pray to. They may call him Allah, but that's Yahweh, that's Jehovah, that's God. That's the same God. It's just a different name. So I don't totally understand that motivation. But here's what I do understand. Jesus does not give us a break on forgiveness. He forgives us for everything we do. And again, you might say, but Mark, I didn't bring down a building with 3,000 people in it. Right. But we've all done the sins that we've done. And we are all forgiven, even though we don't deserve it. How do we know? How do we know what was going on in the hearts and the souls of the men who caused that terrible day to happen? How do we know? Can we forgive them? We should try. I have heard about people forgiving murderers who killed their children or their spouses. I have heard about people forgiving gangbangers who just shoot up areas and maybe accidentally shoot a child. How do they do it? I don't understand it. I don't pretend to understand it. I'm acknowledging that sometimes forgiveness is next to impossible. I have heard of people forgiving the Nazi guards that tortured them. I've heard of all kinds of forgiveness that just makes me shake my head and go, God, I don't understand it. but I can understand how difficult it would be to forgive on 9/11. Last point. How long ago was December 7th, 1941? That was a long time ago. The Japanese hit us, remember? Boy, they hit us hard, and it was a surprise attack, and we lost hundreds of people, and it got us into World War II, where we lost thousands of people. Have we forgiven Pearl Harbor? Well, we've made friends with the Japanese. Many former sailors and soldiers who were there on December 7, 1941 have actually met the Japanese pilots who attacked them. They have met each other and shaken hands. We are friends with Japan. They're one of our staunchest allies today. And how did we do that? We can get past 9/11. The Civil War made terrible divisions between America and Americans. Brother against brother, father against son, that kind of stuff. Well, there was a reunion at Gettysburg many years after the real battle, where you had soldiers from the South and soldiers from the North that were there reenacting the battle. And as they went to step forward to charge, they threw down their guns and they went to each other and they embraced and they cried. I think there was some forgiveness at Gettysburg that day. It can be done, folks. It's not impossible. It's not. Amen.